Welcome back. Midday Show live from Clearwater Baycare Ballpark. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, and joining us right now, Phillies starting pitcher Zack Wheeler. Zack, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Zack, how important was you to get this deal done before the season started?
It's important, knowing where you want to be, family and all that. Everybody's happy here. And, it's a place that I've come to love and that I'm happy at. I'm comfortable here with staff and players, and we win. So, this is where I want to be.
So it was never a thought for you ever, like it during the beginning, potentially, of going. There was never a thought for you to go anywhere else.
There's always that potential, I guess you could say, if that's the right word. But, yeah, I mean, if we don't get it worked out, I'm going to hit the free agent market. But this is where I wanted to be, so I definitely made a effort to tell my agent to try to make it work.
It's funny. I'm sorry about that, Joe, but it's funny because I'm curious. There's been a lot of talk, especially with this team, about the camaraderie and how everybody feels good being around one another. How much do you attribute that to the success that you've had thus far?
Yeah, we're a close-knit team. We love to compete. We're a little bit older, so we've all been around a while now, and we know what losing's like. We know what winning's like, and it's fun to win. So, once we get out there between the lines, it's time to play and bear down. But, in the clubhouse, we keep it light. We kind of police ourselves. We're able to do that. Rob trusts us with that. And, anybody who comes up or comes to our team, we want them to be themselves. That's when people are the most comfortable. That's when they perform the best. And I think that's when we, as Phillies, are our best.
Zack, when did it click for you? Following your career, first-round pick, and then you come up with the Mets with some hype with all those great pitchers you guys had. And you had some moments, obviously injury issues. You come here, and I believe your first year here was the pandemic year, right? So only got to see like 12 starts or whatever it was for you. When did you start to feel like, all right, I'm feeling good physically, and I've got the mental part down? Because for me as a fan, like 2020, 2021, I started realizing, like, wow, Zack's really gone to a different level in his career. When did you start feeling like I've figured something out here?
It's hard to tell. Just because me personally, I felt better after my injury, after I came back. It took me a while. I was trying to change my arm angle and arm motion, so that took me a minute, but I was feeling better. So I would say 18, 19, I did have better second halves, but I felt good. I felt like I was on the right path. And then finally, I signed the big deal. You have to live up to that. Being in Philly, I think putting those two together, made some more confidence in myself maybe. And I felt like I had to live up to that. I had to be the number one and pitch like that. So that's what I was going to try to do my best at. And,
Let's talk about expectations. We've been talking about all offseason. We want and expect you guys to win the World Series. That's where you guys have graduated to in our minds as fans, based on the team you have and where you've been the last couple of years. How much do you guys talk about that? The expectations, the goal to go win the World Series. Is that something you and your teammates talk about?
I wouldn't say we necessarily talk about it. I think we know that. I think we kind of, I wouldn't say snuck in a couple of years ago, but people weren't really expecting it, and we made it to the World Series. Last year, people expected us to be there, make a deep run. We did. We didn't end up where we wanted to be, but it was still a deep run. It was fun, and that was a successful year. Whether fans don't think so or not, that's a successful year. But at the end of the day, you play to win, and you want to win a World Series, bring it back to Philly. No other place like Philly. You want to be going down Broad Street like Harper always says. It's we know what we want to do, and that's win.
I've been hearing a lot about this nasty ass splitter that you have. My question to you is this: How long does it take for you to develop that pitch and get comfortable enough to go out there and debut it a little bit?
It's different with different pitches. So last year I kind of debuted the sweeper and whatever you want to call it, slider, sweeper. But I was working on it the year before, so that took me, year in the works to really get it game ready. Sometimes I can throw a pitch in the bullpen and get out the next start. That's kind of what I did with the cutter back in the day. But the splitter, I kind of always had it in my back pocket. I kind of always switched around between a traditional changeup, and a split. and I probably threw it like 5 times a year the past few years. And that's to like Freddie Freeman, like a 3-2 count, please swing at it, that type of thing. So, no, this year I made a concerted effort to really work on it. Literally sit on the couch during the off season.
Say, I'm gonna kill him with this one.
Play around with some grips. And Caleb, our pitching coach, he's really awesome at hand manipulation with the ball, and he's made my off speed pitches a lot better. And he's helped me out with the split, and it's been hit or miss this spring, but it's always moving, which is fine with me. As long as it's not floating up there in the middle of the zone, I'm cool with it. Sometimes I've cut it. Sometimes it's done split things. So either way, as long as there's that velo difference and it's moving, I'm cool with it right now. Hey, I want to get it nailed down, though, where it's consistent.
Hey, Joe, do you see what I'm seeing? He's excited.
Oh,
about,
I can see. Yeah.
He's excited about that. Speaking of that, you get the starting day pitcher. How exciting is that for you to get that nod to be the starting day pitcher?
Yeah, it's exciting. I've never done it before. Thought it's always been pretty cool. It's a great honor. Just coming up over the years, just seeing the guys that get that nod for it, has always been the guys, right? Like, Randy Johnson and Holiday and like those guys. Like, it's always the dude. So it's pretty cool to, be in those shoes and being able to take the ball opening day. Knowles, he could be right there doing it too. So, it's definitely a privilege, and I don't take it for granted.
We're talking to Zack Wheeler here, Phillies starting pitcher at Phillies spring training. Zach, you mentioned Knowles. You and he at the top of the rotation, you guys it's kind of rare what you guys have, because both of you go 7 innings routinely. And you mentioned Roy Halladay. He used to go 9, then it became like most guys go 5. You guys go 7 into the 8th. Is that something that is a mentality? Is that something that you train for? Like when you're in the mound in the first inning, are you thinking about finishing 7? How do you get there? Because it feels like so many starting pitchers these days don't go as far as you guys go into games.
Yeah, it's just how guys are coming up these days. I don't think organizations are letting them go deep in the games in the minor leagues, so they aren't used to it when they get up here. Once you get a little more tired, deeper in the games, you got to know how to pitch. And they aren't getting that experience down in the minor leagues, so when they get up here, they aren't ready for it. So we're a little old school with that, I guess you could say, but that's what we take pride in. We kind of know that coming in, and we kind of talk about it. This time of year, hey, like we're going to go 200 innings again, or at least very close to it. That means taking the ball every start. Fingers crossed, we're healthy, and getting 200 strikeouts plus. That's our goal, is 200, and that's what's going to save our bullpen arms for that push that we need at the end of the year. Even if it's just me and him going 200, that saves 30 innings for the bullpen. So. We need them fresh at the end of the year.
Zach, what's more fun for you? We talk so much about the great atmosphere at Citizens Bank Park, especially in October. More fun for you, a home game at Citizens Bank Park in October, which you've had those, or silencing the road crowd? We were down there in Atlanta. We were down there at the beginning of that series.
Joe almost got beat up in Atlanta for his Phillies gear.
I was wearing a Phillies overalls, and you were shutting them down, and they were not happy with me. But you silenced that place, because that was the best offense baseball has seen in years. They slugged like 500 as a team, and they couldn't touch you. What's more fun, silencing a crowd on the road or pitching at home?
It's a tough question. Both are awesome. I don't know.
But it got to feel good being in Atlanta and have that crowd. Because let me tell you, from our perspective, so we're there and they're going bananas, and you start pitching, and then it just got silent. And I remember telling Joe, I said, Joe, it's probably time to leave. it was probably time to leave.
It's a good feeling to go into somebody else's ballpark and just quiet down the crowd. But you got to do it from literally pitch one. You got Acuna coming up there. He's swinging, and he's trying to hit a home run the first at bat of the game, and you can't let him do that. So you got to get him out, and then you got to worry about Riley. And then, it's definitely a mental game when you're up there. You're mentally exhausted at the end of the game. But, that time of year when you're able to quiet a crowd and kind of contain a lineup, that's really good. It's a really good feeling, but there's nothing like pitching at the bank in October also.
How hard is it to say I'm going to paint a scenario for you. Say like if you get out there on the mound and you get off to like somewhat of a rough start, because I feel like being a pitcher, that is the absolute loneliest place to be, because you're out there by yourself.
Yeah.
So say if you got off to a rough start, how hard is it for you to kind of like rein it in, settle down, and get back into a groove when you've had, say, like you got dinged for a home run like right out the gate? How hard is that to do?
It's tough. It literally depends on what you have for that day. Because mentally you could be like, all right, like whatever.
Yeah,
they're probably going to score at least one run during this game, right? Just whatever. You just flush it and move on. But if you don't have your stuff that day, that's a whole different story. You got to try to maybe do some things that you don't normally do. Say your fastball doesn't have that pop on it that day. You got to be able to command it and try to get some swings and misses maybe at the top of the zone. Maybe throw your off speed a little bit more. But if you just don't have your stuff that day, it's really tough to try to get that going. But mentally, you're always like, all right, let's flush that. They're probably going to score one at least. You don't want them to, obviously, but it's probably going to happen. It's a really good lineup, and it's big league hitters. So, that's their mentality, is go out there at those 7 shutout innings, but sometimes they're going to score. How
much does it help having a catcher that's pretty much out there with you every time? I mean, JT, we had on a little bit earlier, and he talked to us about he wants to play 130 again. So most of your starts, he's going to be your catcher. Yeah. Most teams don't have that. I mean, you maybe half and half. Maybe one guy plays 90. I mean, you have a catcher that plays 80% of the time, basically. How much does that help you, the familiarity with him for years, and just knowing he's probably going to catch most of your starts?
It's, that's one of the reasons I signed here originally was to throw to JT. Excuse me. I saw him, played against him when he was in Miami, and then obviously with Philly. So he was always a tough out for me, and I always loved watching him catch. He's a bigger target, which I like. He receives the ball well, and he also does it with the bat. So just all that, and he's consistent. He calls a great game. I don't do much scouting myself. I kind of leave that up to him because I trust him that much with it. And, he does his homework. I literally walk in, and he's sitting there on his iPad writing the scouting report for the day. And he's going over each hitter, video, and his handwriting is very small because he has a lot of notes underneath each hitter. And, that takes time. And he has a family, but he also puts in the time at the field. And, I really appreciate that as a pitcher.
Jay, with Zack Wheeler here. Zack, let's end with this. So opening day against the Braves next week, you're on the mound. And we've been saying, at least I've been saying, and a lot of us have been saying, we want to win the division this year. Not only get to the World Series and win it, but we're tired of watching the Braves win the division. So no pressure. Our producer Kyle has said he's picking the Phillies wire to wire in the division. So we need that opening day win from you. No pressure. But how about the division? Does that matter to you guys? Because you obviously haven't needed to win the division the last 2 years to get far in the playoffs. But boy, I'm tired of watching the Braves win this division. We want you to win it this year. Is that a goal?
It's a goal. Yeah, definitely. Winning the division gets you into the playoffs. If you don't win the division, it's a throw up, I guess you could say, right? Anybody could get hot at any time at the end of the year. You could not do very well at the end of the year, and somebody could jump in front of you. So winning the division definitely gets you in, and that's what you want to do. It's tough. It's a tough division. A lot of people overlook the Marlins. I think of them as a very good team every year, just because we got to pitch against them. They're not just the Marlins to us. They're actually a good team, and they have really good pitching. They got some good young hitters. Nationals give me a hard time. They're all-star team against me, and the Mets. It's just a tough division all around, and we definitely want to win it so we get that for sure into the playoffs. That's definitely the key.
Great stuff. Zack Wheeler, Phillies starting pitcher. Zack, we appreciate you hopping on.
You.
Good luck this season, and we're excited for a big year. Thank you, Zack.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.